Welcome back to the Regional Community Childcare Development Fund Professional Development. This is Phase 1, Session 3, Part B, defining specific behaviours. It's very important that you've done Part A first and defined your expectations with the input from your families, communities as well as staff. And then you can start with this Part B, but you really need those expectations defined first. Otherwise, the rest of this module won't make a lot of sense. So we're in defining expected behaviours as a strategy that supports all children, and we've done expectations. Now we're getting into specific behaviours. Every service to implement positive behaviour support, every service needs to really clearly define how we want our kids to be, the kind of humans we're helping to raise, our big picture expectations, which was the last module, but also the specific behaviours we have for different places, how to be successful at being these kind of great humans that we've defined in Part 1. So we need to get specific. So specific behaviour expectations, or you can use the language of rules if you like, specifies what it is that kids do to meet the service-wide expectations. So if you've got be responsible, what does that actually mean a 3-year-old does? If you've got be respectful, how is that different in the classroom, in the playground, and in the toilet? Because we have different behaviours that we expect for kids in different places. It's really important we have those overarching behaviour expectations to tie those specific expectations together. But we need to be specific in order to help kids be successful, because just saying to a 3-year-old, all right, be respectful, please, it's not enough to support them. We need to teach them what we want them to do. So developing our specific expectations, rules or specific behaviours should be related to our big picture expectations, and they should be par. They should be observable, things that we can see, measurable, so things we could count if we wanted to, positively stated as something to do rather than a don't. It should be understandable in kid-friendly language, and it should be always applicable. It's something that we expect of kids the same every day. So those are our guidelines, is our expectations should be par. There's more detail about this and a reminder of these guidelines in the handout that goes along with this module that is also available on the website. This is an example of a service that has made their expectations of we are safe and we are respectful really specific for dancing time. So at dancing time, in order to be safe and respectful, I can dance with my hands, feet and body to myself. I can say standing on my feet on the carpet, and if I'm tired, I can sit, sing and watch from the table. So they've taught the kids this is part of their teaching the kids exactly what to do to be safe and respectful during dancing time. This is the how to get it right. That's what we want for our kids, is to teach them how to get it right and be successful. This service has the behaviour expectation of we are kind, and they've made that really specific in that we expect kids to remember to use gentle hands. And I love how they've got some picture cues here, as well as the specific verbal instructions. We gently touch our friend to get their attention, brackets, instead of belting them, but they've written it as a positive. They've written it as something to do. So this is something we can teach kids, but it's also something we can recognise kids. Hey, I saw you gently touching your friend. Great job. That's the right way. That's the kind way to get their attention. And using gentle hands to play with the toys. Thanks for being kind with our toys and using your gentle hands. That means everyone else gets to use them in the future because they don't get broken. Well done. They've been further specific with we are kind and remembering to use indoor voices. So when we're inside, we use indoor voices because that's kind. That prevents everyone from getting a headache. But they've even given further supports to the kids about we talk quietly in the book area and a photo. When we eat lunch, we ask our friends to pass the food in an indoor voice. And I love this one. Our friends can still hear us when we talk quietly while we are playing. So really explaining to kids exactly how to be successful, exactly what being kind and using indoor voices inside means. They have the expectation of we are safe, and specifically means keeping our feet safe, climbing on the climbers and keeping our feet on the ground. So you can kind of see from this what sort of problems they've been having and how they've worked out we can't stop kids from doing problem behaviours, but we can get them to start doing other things instead. So instead of don't climb on the fence, which of course is an invitation to kids to climb on the fence, we climb on the climbers instead. So it's phrased positively. It's what we do to be successful at being safe. We want to end up with something like this. This is called a behaviour matrix. This is our behaviour curriculum document. This is our teaching curriculum. We would never put this up as a poster in our service because it's just got too much writing on it. No one's going to look at anything like this. But we do have it as our teaching curriculum for our social behaviour skills. So in this service, they have 3 expectations: be safe, be kind, and be helpful. And you will be coming into this module with your expectations ready to go, whatever they are. Then they have the specific settings and the different behaviours that they want kids to do to be safe, be kind, or be helpful in the different settings. So being kind in the line means voices off, but being kind in the hallway means quiet voices. So we're explaining to kids the critical difference about how you get it right in the different environments that they're in. They've been really specific. For example, being safe at table time or eating time means take little bites. That's something we can teach our kids to be safe. So they've got UMPA, observable, measurable, positively stated, understandable, and always applicable expectations for their specific behaviours to go with their expectations in the different settings. That's what we want to end up with. We wouldn't put it up as a poster in this format. We'd have this in our teaching curriculum files, but we might put up posters where we need them so that the kids might look at them, but most importantly, we as adults would look at them. So in the classroom, we would have this poster that shows how we can be safe, be kind, and be helpful by, for example, sharing, talking nicely, and taking turns. And then they've also got photos of the kids. If we have photos of the children, the kids are more likely to look at it, but we really want this around so that we have all of our adults using this language and all of our adults being consistent in the things that they're looking for from the children and the things that they're teaching the children, because consistent expectations help kids to be more successful. We need the posters where we need them. So these are the outside rules. This poster would go outside. It's no good in the classroom. We need it in our outside space. I really love how they've got a positive out of this one. Number 1, we let all the bugs and animals live. They really had to work hard to phrase that positively. I think what they wanted to write was don't kill things, but they wrote it as a positively stated expectation. But it's really important we have this where we need it. We have our outside expectations outside so that our adults can be reminded by seeing this to use the consistent language. This poster, if it's a toilet expectation poster, we would have it in the toilet. We also do our teaching of these behaviours in the place that we need them, so in the toilet room. So be responsible in the toilet means flush the toilet and wash your hands. That's no good if it's in our file, and it's no good if it's in our classroom. It needs to be where kids can see it and adults can see it to remind kids to be successful. So this UMPA criteria of how we define our specific behaviours and rules, this will be on the bottom of your handout, the handout for Phase 1, Module 3. The UMPA guidelines, we're looking for observable, measurable things we do that kids can understand and that we can have the same every day. So we're going to have a look at an example. This expectation, try your best, it's positively stated as something to do. It is understandable. It is always applicable, but it's really hard to actually observe, is a kid doing that or not? It's really hard to measure. So it's probably not exactly how we want it to be. What we would like more is an expectation that's like this. Walk on the concrete. Walk on the concrete is observable. We can see kids doing it. Measurable. If we wanted to, we could count how many kids were being successful out of our class. It's positively stated as something to do. It's understandable. Kids can get that when they're taught what concrete is, so we might have to still do a bit of teaching, and that's okay. And it's always applicable. We keep that rule the same all the time. So that's a great example of an expectation. This is an example matrix. This has some pictures in it. So they have the expectation. In this service, there's show respect and stay safe are their two expectations. And what that looks like in the classroom, the playground, and the hallway. They've got specific behaviours that are umpar. Now it's your turn. I'm going to get you to pause this presentation now and put your expectations into your matrix, which will be on your handout, and choose some different settings. I think I've got playground, classroom, and toilets on your handout, but you can choose an additional setting if you would like to. What I suggest is that you just choose one expectation and do one row. So let's say this is be respectful. What does be respectful look like outside? What does be respectful look like in the classroom? What does be respectful look like in the hallway? Or choose one setting if you prefer and do a column that way. So outside, how do we be respectful outside, for example? How do we, let's say this is be safe, how do we be safe outside? And let's say this is be kind, how do we be kind outside? So don't try and do the whole matrix yourself. Break into pairs or groups of 3, and each pair or group of 3 either choose one column or choose one row, and then you can come together as a group. I'd like you to spend about 10 minutes working on your row or working on your column while the video is paused. And then once you've worked on your row or column, come back together as a group and share what you've got. Make sure that you test each of your expectations, your specific behaviours. Is it umpar? Does it meet all of the umpar criteria? So press pause now and get onto the work of making your own service-wide expectations matrix.